So let's talk about artificial lighting in Lumion. So what's the point of artificial light? As you saw before, it was super dark in there. It's not bright enough to kind of convey the proper appearance of what the kitchen would look like. So let's add some lights here. So I'm going to go over to Content Library, and right under Lights, right here, I'm going to go to Place, and I have all these different lights. I've got spotlights, I've got omni lights, so think of these as, circular lights that just emit light outwards. Point spotlights are like point lights. If I put a light here, it's going to shoot light downwards. Okay, so that's the point of that. So let me just delete that real quick. Go back to Place. And then lastly, we have area lights. You can use them to cover like a wide spread like this. Like, watch this. This is a giant rectangle that's just going to shoot light downwards. And then we also have line lights, which you can think of as under cabinet lighting, right? So we've got a couple things going on. Let's start with the line lights. I'm going to go over here. And you see this is the shape of our line light. I'm going to place that. The rotation is off, right? So we're going to want to go in and rotate. Okay, so let's rotate the heading. Till we hit 90, perfect. Okay, and now I'm just going to move this further back. And I want to expand the width, which is this guy right here. I want to make sure that we're meeting side to side. So I'm going to scoot this over. Okay. And as I play with the brightness, you see that? It's emitting light here. And I can go in and I can actually change the color of the light if I want. So if I want this to be a warmer or orange light, I can choose, or I can go by Kelvin. Okay. Kelvin, if you ever purchase lights, it's going to tell you the color temperature that the light is. So here, this is kind of nice because if I search any line light, it's going to tell me what kind of Kelvin it is. So watch this. If I Google under cabinet lighting, right? I've got all these different options to choose from, but if I were to click any of these, let's just say I go with this one. Okay, and let's visit this. Look right there. You see where it says soft white, 3000K? That is this guy right there. So watch this. If I were matching that spec, I can literally say, okay, that's 3000K. So that's a perfect match. So that's awesome. The brightness, let's leave it right around 10,000 nits, and then we can go back and edit that as needed. So I need lighting here and there. So I'm just going to hold down Alt and then move on the axes. Okay, let's make sure it doesn't go too far. Perfect. And then Alt, and then let's do a rotation. Okay, perfect. We're going to shrink the width, and we're going to push this back. And we don't want to go over here because then we're going to be overlapping, right? And that's going to be too much light. Perfect. All right, great. So now if I were to switch back to the rendering mode and I were to go to photo, see what's happening here? This is all lit. So now I can actually say, oh, okay, this is probably too bright. So now I can go back in there and lower it, but you're seeing that it's making a huge difference in the rendering. So I'm going to select all these. Since there's only 3, I can easily just hold down Control to select, or I can do select all identical objects. Let's bring this down to about 5,000. Okay, great. So those are the linear lights. Let's talk about the point lights here. So I'm going to go back to lights, hit place, and let's switch to spotlights. So this right here that you see, these are different IES profiles, and this comes from the manufacturer, and this talks about the throw of the light, right? So like, is it super narrow? Is it super wide, right? These are all different profiles. So personally, I like these guys, lamp 3. So I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to hit select, and I could do the same exercise where I can search for a typical light bulb and see what the color is. So let's do that. go under shopping, and let's see what a typical temperature is. Go back to Home Depot and we'll see. As you can see here, we've got options of it being 2700K or 4000. I think the 2700K is going to be a little too orange, so let's leave it at 4K for now. Let's go here. All right, perfect. The cone angle that you see here, that basically controls how narrow or wide it should be. So I'm going to leave this around 115. And the light radius is basically how far is the light going to be thrown. So it's difficult to see the impact of it, but if I increase this and I lower it, you can kind of see. So with the light radius, if I hit show source and then zoom in, see what's happening here? It's basically talking about this area here. How large should that be? So I can match it somewhere around there. That's totally fine. So that's at 0.06. Okay. Shadows, I'm going to put on high just because I like the high quality that we'll get from here. And I'm going to lower the brightness because that is way too much. You can actually search in terms of lumens how bright lights should be. So let's go here. This says 110, 1100 lumens, right? So I can go right here and plug that in. If I want, I could just double click and make it precise. Perfect. So now I'm just going to copy this across. So Alt, that arrow, I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, perfect. I've got one more. So now if I were to go back to that rendering, see how much brighter it is? So we're getting the lighting here. We're getting some lights from here. I can boost this further if I want. I can also play with these settings to make it slightly brighter as well. So let's increase this, increase our sun intensity. Okay, so it's gotten better, but it's not perfect yet. So a couple things I want to tweak. We'll tweak these light settings, and then I realized I left show light source on. So let me go back. And we're going to do a select all. Let's just turn that off. That way it's not showing a double circle there, right? Let's go back to photo mode. Go back here. And I'm going to increase the sun intensity and the sky brightness. Okay. And generally when you're indoors and you're looking out, this should look more exposed than your interior. So here's a good example of what I mean. So you see how this looks so much brighter? So that's what we're going to kind of achieve here. Okay. I'm going to play with this some more. I want to get more light in here. I might just change this just so light comes in a little bit lower. Let's go with this, cloudy 3. Kind of like that we're getting some light through here.